Good evening and welcome to the Blacktop. I am Timaira, your host, and tonight I brought along two friends to sit here and talk about the NBA and at times the WNBA.
Oh, yes.
So, I'd like to welcome Jake and CJ. Hey guys,
What's going
Hey, what's
on?
up, man?
nothing much. We're here to kind of get a recap going. We're getting really, really close to kind of playing time, and so we want to talk about the NBA before we get there.
All
Love it.
right.
So our first topic tonight, we're going to open with talking about the play-in and kind of where teams stand. If either of you would like to go first, take a shot.
I mean, I'm sad. Jalen Brown is not out for the season, so I know there are other people that are on the team, but as you see us struggle so bad against last yesterday against the Heat, we struggled so bad. They double teamed Jason Tatum the whole game. And there was without Jalen Brown there's no other person who has just as much as effect as Jason Tatum on the court. So yeah, it was bad. It was bad. So without Jalen Brown, I don't think that we have a shot inside of the playoffs at all.
Okay. I mean, you guys are sitting seventh. I mean, and I think you look a lot better than the seven right now in the West, and that being the Lakers. Um, I, I mean, I'm a Bulls guy, and we're down here just barely scratching. We're like, clinging on to this hope of playoffs, but we'll see. I think it's going to be an interesting play-in scenario, just because of those specific 2 7 seeds I referenced. You have Boston and you have LA. They're really, really close to falling back far enough to put themselves in a bad position to play some of these hot teams. So the Celtics, look, play the Wizards right now. I don't feel that would be a very good matchup. Now you don't have Jalen. I think you could take care of business against the Hornets or the Pacers or even the Bulls right now. I think, the situation turns. Yeah, the Bulls have beat the Celtics in the last two meetings, but that's just because I think there's just two different mindsets on these teams. The Lakers, on
Right.
the other hand, they played really well against the Suns with Anthony Davis playing at an extremely high level. You look at the previous 2 to 3 games before that, and it was a bunch of individuals running around making shots, but they were losing the game ultimately. So I think it's a very interesting playing scenario with some of these teams that are falling back to the position.
Yeah, we have a really interesting game that'll happen, I believe, tonight. That'll be, of course, the Pelicans, New Orleans, and Lonzo Ball and Zion, and they're gonna go ahead and play San Antonio for that number 10 seed in the West play-in. So that'll be an interesting game tonight to kind of see how that shakes out. The Pelican, New Orleans is unpredictable, to say the
Very.
least. And so, it'll be an interesting game to see kind of how things shake out here. But San Antonio, they lost 6 of their last 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
So we can maybe hope that we can get Lonzo going. I don't know, maybe give us 33, 36, 40. I don't know, put something on the board so that we can win tonight and kind of get in there. So, yeah, that's kind of our play-in news. If we want to move on, if you guys are comfortable, or is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about?
Well,
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
mean,
comment.
so referencing that point, I'm glad you brought that up, Jonah. It per Frank Vogel, it is whatever LeBron feels per the last 4 games. They're not giving a timetable, I think, because LeBron doesn't give a timetable. At this point, do we really want to force LeBron into a situation where maybe he puts too much stress on that ankle? If the Lakers lose LeBron, just kiss your repeat goodbye. It's not going to happen.
I mean, I just don't think that LeBron should play. I think he should give some more time for his ankle to fully heal. I get that this is a playoff at stake, you know what I'm saying? So I do understand the certainty and the urgency in playing. But I think that, Anthony Davis and company can, fare off without LeBron in the playing tournament. But I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, this is a high stakes game. This is a high stakes tournament. It's not just a tournament just to see who fares out. This is
Right.
who places in the playoffs. Before the actual playoffs is commences. So um, I don't know.
And even even to add to your point, so this you look at the 7 with the Celtics, they're a lot closer to the 8 and the 9 seed than the Lakers are. The Lakers have a 3-game lead. They could blow 3 of the 4 games and most likely maybe fall to an 8. I don't think they're going to drop it. They just beat the Suns, who are sitting 2 seed without LeBron. So I think they need to be conservative. I think they need to be smart and go for what's important, which is the title, not the regular season victories.
Yeah, and I agree with Jonah here. If I was LeBron, I wouldn't play either. Like you said, you can blow 3, so why push it? I mean, granted, you want to play, like you're an athlete. This is what you get up and want to do
Get
every
paid for.
day. Yeah, but it's
Right.
like, hey,
yeah,
just rest,
exactly.
because coming back, you're re-injuring it, and one of these times, it's going to be, well, hey, now I've injured it to the point where now I can't play at all. So take a rest, see what Anthony Davis. I mean, he's getting paid to do the same job. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
let him do his thing, see if he can carry this team for a little bit, rest the ankles so that when you do come back, you're able to play and then continue on to play to help the team. Because I don't think, like, in the grand scheme of things, players look at, especially with big teams, right? You have one big star, there's a bunch of little guys kind of hanging around. I don't think they think big picture. The in and outs with you as well doesn't help the consistency of the team. They're looking for consistency. They're looking for you to be out there. So, when you do come back and stay back. So,
Yes, I agree with you. And I think we also need to consider the fact that LeBron is not a 20-year-old man anymore. He's not early 30s. It's going to take a little bit longer for his body to fully heal. He understands that process, and let's be honest, let's give him a good heal rate, right? He takes care of his body probably like Tom Brady does, like at an extremely high level. Even then, the body can only heal so fast. Don't push it. Look for that playoff run, not the end of the season.
I
I
agree.
agree with you. All right, so we're gonna move on and talk about some spotlight players here. I believe we're gonna start talking with Russell Westbrook, with his
Have
33rd
to.
triple double. Yeah, the guy is just doing his thing. 33 triple doubles in a season. What do you guys have to say about Russell Westbrook here?
The
Speechless. You're tied
well,
for the most triple doubles
it's
in
what
the season.
181, right?
Yeah.
Or his career 181.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, of his career.
Hmm.
He right now he's tied. So that means that his next game he can just break it. And this isn't the ending. This isn't the ending of it.
No.
He's going to keep trying to raise that bar so that nobody else would. Honestly, I don't think there will be nobody else who'll be able to top this
Well,
record in such little time in a career.
and think about, okay, so think about who he's tying. Oscar Robinson. Like, this is arguably one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And he's had this record, I believe, roughly for like half a century.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Oscar Robinson. If you put your name next to Oscar Robinson, I think that was like almost you signing your way into the NBA Hall of Fame. And it was interesting that I read an article that was even questioning whether or not Russell Westbrook had the quality to be in the Hall of Fame. And it just made me laugh because, like you said, the next game he's going to play, per his average this season, he's guaranteed to break it. He averages a triple double in a game.
In a game, yeah.
So I think what we're watching, again, we need to just enjoy it. Enjoy the moment of greatness that he is playing at. I just wish we would have saw this Russell Westbrook in the finals with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you're talking guaranteed title.
Right.
So
you
it's just
definitely got to
exciting.
you definitely got to look at some of this guy's highlights. He just plays a phenomenal game. The Wizards are very lucky to
Well,
have this guy on the team.
who's benefiting the most on that roster? Bradley Beal, number 2 scorer in the NBA right now to this point. Just
But
lights
see,
out.
we all knew that he could do it though.
Right.
That's the thing. We all knew that Bradley Beal had this potential. He just needed somebody to give him that push. Russell Westbrook was the perfect guy to do so. The chemistry wasn't there in the beginning, but now you see that everything is starting to gel out smoothly. I just hate Scott Brooks. I don't like him as a coach. I think the Wizards needs a better coaching system. But right now, I love the 2-player tandem right now. They need a few pieces there to make it all gel. Hachimura is good there. There's key players there that also makes whatever's going on in Washington happen the way it's happening. They're in the playoff race. Hopefully they can make it as far as what we expect them to be.
I agree. Did we have a Russell Westbrook highlight, or do you want to roll them all at one time?
Yes, I actually have a Russell Westbrook highlight.
Okay, let's watch that here.
Saves it to Gill. Here's Neto.
Toronto.
Back and forth with Westbrook, and Neto rattles into 3. Westbrook, the crossover. The lob to Len. Beautiful play by Westbrook, setting it up for the former Raptor, Alex Len.
I like it. I've seen it time and time again. Alex Len starting games off early, finishing strong.
Little 6-0 run by Toronto to lead by 3. Westbrook, pump fake. Westbrook attacking with the left. Step back over Len. And Westbrook with a rebound, his 9th.
Great defensive possession right there, JK.
And there's Len running.
What a guy.
He just does it so fluently with no type of effort, no anything. And you see how disruptive he is on the court. And I like the kid. I think that Washington was a great fit for him. I think this can possibly be the best fit for him than the other teams that he has gone to.
Yep.
I agree. All right, we're going to move on here. We're going to talk about Mr. Lonzo Ball, who honestly kind of shocked everybody in the last couple, I'll say, weeks or so in his playing style. We always say T-shirt, though, so Lonzo was really popular in high school for wearing this kind of white T-shirt or just a shirt underneath the jersey, and always put up good numbers. And so he has decided to go back and kind of get back in his rhythm. I think being, I would say, maybe the happiest, or at least happiest and maybe healthiest that I've seen him all season. Coming back and kind of putting points on the board. What say we about Lonzo Ball?
Well, I feel like he's just done. He's excelled at a pace faster than his older brother. I feel like the game slowed down faster for him than it did for LaMelo. The other day, it kind of showed how LaMelo has kind of caught up when the Hornets and the Pelicans went head to head, because there was times where LaMelo would have the spotlight and then Lonzo would take it back. So it was very interesting watching the contrast between the two, but at the same time, how they see the floor. I still feel at this point Lonzo is still a little bit better than LaMelo, but I feel like that's just because of pure talent.
Lonzo is definitely finally playing like the player that we all expect him to look like, coming out of the draft. It didn't look like that when he got drafted. There was he got traded, and now you're starting to see that he found his home. Me personally, I don't think going somewhere where LeBron was at, I don't think that was the right fit for Lonzo. I think that him going to New Orleans was a perfect match. It was a perfect match. There are some role players that meshes with them, and I think that right now this is the start of the ball effect. The ball effect. Just Lonzo, LaMelo. Them 2 guys alone are just amazing. They're amazing. I know we're going to get to talk about LaMelo soon. So there's some comparisons that I would like to do for both of them. So when we start talking about LaMelo, I'm gonna throw out something that a lot of people didn't really see. But Lonzo, he pretty much got back into action. Man, just like Jonah said, Lonzo, Zion, and Ingram are going to be the next big three. Just watch.
I would tend to agree with that. I feel like it's unfortunate Zion got injured. So that hurts. But I mean, I think injury free. I think yes. I think they all three have taken a big step this season. I mean, you compare last season to this season, and you can see a clear difference between all three of the players. I definitely would have to agree with that statement.
To be honest, I'm gonna be honest. Don't be mad at me when I say this, but I'm not really a Brandon Ingram fan.
Yeah. Well, there's
I'm not
definitely
really.
areas you could pick apart Brandon Ingram as a player. Let's be honest. You can find the little details where he's not an elite player. Maybe he's just kind of a above average player. But you pair him with a Zion and
He's not. Yeah, he's
Alonzo.
not a lone wolf. He's not a lone wolf. He's not a
No,
guy that if Lonzo and Zion was to get injured, Brandon can carry the team. It's obvious that he couldn't. He couldn't before Zion and Lonzo got there.
yep.
To be honest, I don't necessarily like him as a player. He's good. He's good on the court, but he need he relies on support.
Oh
There's
yes,
two differences between needing support and relying on support. Bradley Beal needed support. Didn't necessarily need to rely on the support, but he needed the
right.
support. So when Westbrook got there, but then you look at Brandon Ingram, he relies on that support. He relies on the support of Lonzo and Zion and the other key players that are there. So, I mean, just like Jonah said, which I agree with him to an extent, um, keep those three healthy and you'll see Miami 2.0. Uh, you know, eh,
uh,
eh, you know,
really, would we really
really,
though?
is that what we really doing? Like, really? But I don't know. I think Lonzo is right now is best in his prime right now, and I like to see it right now.
I agree with you. I like seeing Lonzo. I like seeing this Lonzo. He looks happy. Whether he's actually happy or not, I don't actually know. But
We're not sure.
we're hoping, yeah, we're hoping that he's happy. I'm enjoying watching them play right now. Kind of getting back to what we like you said, what we all kind of expected him to be. We wanted him to be this guy. I wanted him to be this guy. So I'm happy that he's kind of showing up and showing out. I'm hoping that I don't know, kind of this off season, maybe. I mean, what an off season is kind of where you grow your game. He's worked on, his 3-point shot, his jumper, and so hopefully, I don't know. I cannot say for certain that I see Lonzo staying with the Pelicans. I don't actually know if he'll end up hanging out there. If
It would be a smart career move if he stayed.
yeah, and that's the thing. It would be smart if he stayed, and I'm hoping that he does. I can't see really another team that I would say like making him a role player and putting him in and just knowing that he's going to be. I don't see another team that I can just say you can throw him there and he's going to be all right. Right now, I'm glad that he didn't stay with the Lakers. I don't think it was smart for him to kind of be there hanging around LeBron. And you're not going to be the player that you could be, with LeBron around. That's just
What I
not
what I
possible. So
what I don't want to happen to Lonzo Ball is what happened to Austin Rivers. Don't want that to happen. We've
Yep.
seen how that worked. Austin Rivers, he's not a bad player. He came in the league. He came in the league with an injury. He got traded immediately to another team. That team didn't work out. Then he got traded to another team. Right now, he's a solid role player. He does the job, when he's asked of. But I don't want to see that happen to Lonzo Ball. And him being traded, I'm not saying he's going to decline, but it's going to lower his credit a little bit. And I think that right now he needs to stay in New Orleans if he can. This is where he needs to be at. You have Zion. You have Brandon Ingram.
That was
You
hard
have
for you
some
to
role
say.
players.
I know he was going to puke a little bit.
Hey,
Like,
listen,
you all
listen,
right?
man, listen. Listen, man. Listen. He has those two players. He has the role players. They just need a few other pieces to come in and just make it all complete.
I agree with you. All right. I believe we have Alonzo Ball highlight.
Yes, we do.
And on the run, saw that coming, Brandon. Good steal. Lonzo available. Ties it. Got it.
Nice to see him knock one down, too.
Out of the timeout. Lonzo, good save. Gets the triple. He's got his first two. And even though the Pels are now 4 of 16 shooting, they're in really good shape. And now that one was short out of his hand, and he knew it. It dropped in. Lonzo on the step back. His shot's on.
What a difference a day makes.
Yeah, his shot is
What
on.
a difference a day makes.
Yeah, be deliberate. And there's Lonzo showing him he's got some range. Zion sharing it with Lonzo. And Lonzo trying to get there. He will get there. And flash it home.
Every time you use a screen and roll with Zion.
I mean, Jesus.
He's,
Yeah.
you can tell he's comfortable. As Timaira said, he looks happy.
He looks happy. And honestly, I think that happiness came when they brought in Adams. You know,
Well,
when they brought in
that's
said
a
what?
big relief. That's a big relief.
You know, I totally forgot about them bringing Adams in. And since they brought Adams in, you can see that team has just gotten so much better. They got guys who can grab the rebound. Zion can be Zion finally, without having to take on an extra role. Listen, the sky is the limit for this team.
I agree.
I
with
think
you.
a lot of it is, based on how the coach utilizes these guys now. I think that's going to be the big thing. I think how you made earlier the comment about Bradley Beal, being able to carry things but needed assistance. I've been beating the drum all year long. I think Zach LaVine's that same guy. You bring in Vujovic, who's carried the team while Zach LaVine was sick. Not quite sure. And now that he's come back, he's been healthy. The past 2 games, both of these guys are averaging 25 and above. Kobe White's playing at a higher level. It's just that point that you're bringing to. You get solid players, you add good role players, aka Brandon Ingram, to the mix, and that's when your team can gel. You take the pressure off of these other guys. Look at Chris Middleton this year. You can find plenty of highlights of him being comfortable and making the shots when he needs to. Because there's other guys now playing a much bigger role and taking that pressure off of him. Like I've said before, Middleton's a good 3, good 4 guy. You put him in a good position against the 4th best player against the other team, you're probably going to win in that situation.
Well, there we have it.
Yeah, definitely. She's there.
Let's go to the next ball brother, because of course there's another one. This was probably the player I was most excited to kind of see back in action, coming back from a wrist injury. And I know we talked about that before, kind of just the healthiness, if that's even a word, of the Ball brothers. And we'll include Jello in that. Just the trio of them just really have a hard time with staying healthy. But Melo coming back from the broken wrist, getting back and kind of getting back in his groove. What say we about LaMelo Ball?
Listen, it must suck for the doubters to have to hear the father's mouth, just hear LeVar's mouth. It's like, didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you what's going to happen when you trade my son? And then didn't I tell you what's going to happen when LaMelo comes in the league? I told you, this is what's going to work. I know these guys. This is what I used to do. And he still thinks he can beat Jordan to this day.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him even have that one. If that's the one delusional thought he's gonna have, we'll let him have it, because quite honestly, he has produced some brilliant ball players.
Yes, he did.
I've watched interviews with just them and their entire family, and just he gave them the option, having the option to say, hey, if this is what you're gonna do, now you don't have to do this, you don't have to ball. But if you're going to do it, you're going to give it all that you have. And so having that mentality and kind of keeping that mentality, when a lot of people were just like, well, hey, dad's overbearing. And that's not to say that their dad isn't overbearing. We kind of saw, I think Lonzo would have been happier at the Lakers if his dad kind of wasn't all up in his business, but kind of seeing him now and saying, hey, I'm my own man, I'm going to do my own thing. And LaMelo, who kind of just just from growing up, from what I think we were introduced to Melo at like what 14. He's always kind of been just a goofy type of carefree. He knows he can play basketball. He has not a single concern. And that translates into his game. When you watch him play, I don't think I see too much like critical thinking of LaMelo, although I know that it's going on. It's just so subconscious to him that it's just effortless. He's thinking about the ball game, but he's also having so much fun in it. Translates into the way that he plays and how he kind of projects himself off onto the people that he's surrounded with. Everybody around him is having a good time because he's having a good time.
Yeah, I think that he has a better IQ. When it comes to IQ, I think he has a better IQ than Lonzo. But Jonah did say something that I kind of did want to point out. Basketball is better with LaMelo on the court.
Absolutely.
I definitely believe that because LaMelo has had a great first 10 games. I think he had a better first 10 games than Lonzo did with the Lakers. His debut was just crazy, and so is LaMelo better than Lonzo?
I would say right at this point, if we were to measure both of them,
I think they're right. I think they're right there. I think they're constantly just going like this. I think they're just constantly going like this. It's just a small margin there.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't know. I feel like I'd have to give the edge just a little bit to Lonzo, just for the fact that he's arguably in the talk for Rookie of the Year. I think easily. It just his ability to adapt, and maybe it was because he went to Charlotte. Maybe it was the situation that he got put in. Not going to the Lakers. You got to understand, going to the Lakers, even going to the Knicks prior to them having this winning stretch, going to the Knicks when they lose, there were still high expectations for a team that wasn't ever going to meet them. The markets play big in how these guys succeed or fail. The teams have either crazy expectations or they have low expectations per their market. I think both guys are in a perfect situation now to grow and really become those basketball players that their delusional father gave them a chance to be.
Let me ask this because this is a question that I asked a buddy of mine. Next year they get top quality center, top quality power forward, and top quality small forward, and some role players. I'm about to say the Pelicans. Do the Hornets have a fair chance at making the championship next year? And when I say top quality, I mean let's say they bring in the top center in the draft, and then hiring some power forwards in there. Getting some power forwards in the free agency. Let's just say hypothetically a trade happens where Zion comes to the Hornets, and they grab a small forward like Middleton. Do they have a fair chance at the championship?
You know what? I say this. Possibly. Like, in my mind, and now this is just me being a tad on the LeVar side and the delusions, right? Give the Hornets. I want the Hornets to go grab Jello. We know that Jello and Melo play well together. We've seen it when they went overseas. They didn't need Lonzo. They didn't need Lonzo. The two of them play well together. In my delusion, give me Jello, right? Bring Jello over to the Hornets. I don't know, work on his ankles, whatever other issues he got going. They need to work on those quickly. Give me Jello. Give me another top quality 3-4 player. Give me a top quality center. Give me Zion. Sure, I'll take Zion. If you're gonna give him up, go ahead and bring him on over. Yes, I could absolutely see, the Hornets, and I don't know if I could say the Lakers next year. I don't think I would see the Lakers, but the Hornets and somebody. Yes, give me Jello. Give me Zion. Give me another good 3-4 player. Sure.
Yeah. And I can see Michael pushing for a move to get Zion. I mean, he's a gambler. He always has been.
Why not?
So I could see him. I could see him throwing the cash at it. I'm gonna have to go against you guys because I said earlier, like a couple weeks ago on a Bird's Nest episode, that I wanted the Bulls to go after LaMelo. And again, people ask me why. well, if we can keep this kid healthy, he would completely raise the level that Bulls offense plays at. And look at what Billy Donovan's offense does with a good point guard. He had Russell Westbrook. They were constantly in the playoffs. They were constantly a top 5-4 team. I think LaMelo could easily play in a Billy Donovan offense, whether or not he stays healthy.
You also got to look at. I don't think he's going to leave the Hornets. I just don't think that they're stupid enough to even get rid of this kid. This it's just a generational talent you just don't get rid of. I mean, I have it with Lonzo, but I don't think that it will be smart. The only reason why Lonzo did get traded was because the Lakers just didn't need him.
Right.
They were going to be great with or without him. This is not the case with the Hornets. And you've seen it when LaMelo got injured.
Mm-hmm.
LaMelo got injured, they went from here to here drastically.
Yep.
Melo comes back, they went from here, and they slowly rise him back up, slowly but surely. And you know what, Rush? I just don't think it would be smart. But basketball is a shady business, much shadier than a lot of other sports, professional sports. You might think that LaMelo was here, then offseason starts. He's traded to a team that desperately needs him, like the Bulls.
Doubles.
All right, we'll end this segment with, of course, a highlight of LaMelo. I believe this is all from his return just recently.
Yes, definitely.
Thought he was going to lay that. Good looks from 3. Only 8 of 22. Oh, yes, sir. Oh my goodness. Herter has been in a couple of.
Second half, LaMelo Ball shows that flash.
Effortless.
9. Oh, behind the back pass. Miles Bridges in the foul. That's what I'm talking about. Over New York, Kevin Knox misses his first shot. Full-length baseball pass. And Gordon Hayward catches in. An 80-foot assist for LaMelo Ball.
I think we got a hot player who's wearing number 20 in white.
4 of them are first-round picks. Here comes PJ to steal. LaMelo! There you go! Into the game to be down by double figures and ahead by double figures is amazing. Oh, yeah!
Man.
I'll tell you what, to have the confidence, right, to make a full court pass in the NBA, you got to have some real confidence
to have the confidence to grab a rebound and put it back in the basket before time runs out.
That's it. Like, listen, AAU ball, you know me. I was a center, right? I'm the kid. I'm not getting up and down your court. I'm looking for somebody to chuck this ball to. AAU, you better make that pass. Otherwise, I guarantee you after the game, you're on the line, you're running. My coach does not care if you just played the entire game. You will run for making a pass like that. That dude's just effortless. He's like, all right, cool, chill here. I'm not getting back down there. Here's the ball. Go score.
Jonas said LaMelo is so relaxed on the truly great. I
agree.
I think
this is hey, loving the graphics, background, lettering, and vibe. Thank you. Thank you, thank you to the production crew. For the production crew is back there in the background, aka me. Hello. But thank you, appreciate it. Jonah says I would give it to Lonzo simply because of the experience. Have to remember there's been a lot of players that were great their rookie year and went down after. Yeah, but it's not a lot though. That's the thing.
And I don't see that helping. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I just don't think that will happen with LaMelo. The only reason why Lonzo rookie year is almost non-existent is because he was with the Lakers. And to be honest, and I hate to be like that, but when you get drafted with the team with the Lakers, you're over. That team having LeBron there, it just overshadows you a little bit. It just overshadows you a little bit. There's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, we got Lonzo Ball. You know what I mean?
Well, right. And like even go back further than that. Look, when Kobe was drafted, Kobe wasn't initially inserted into that roster on the Lakers. He had to work his way on. That's the thing. Like I said, it's all about that market. You send this guy with a bunch of talent to a team that's going to be loaded because they're always paying cap penalties and whatever they want to get who they want. There's going to be great players, and you're not going to be able to have those reps to, get better. He's in a position right now with a team that, like a New Orleans, like a Chicago. Go to a team that's hanging around that 7 to 8. You're going to be able to take care of business and learn and be able to grow.
Yeah, see, Jonah's right. I was gonna say it, but I was like, I don't even know. I was like, I'm not gonna test the waters with saying it, but you're right. You gotta have the balls to make a pass like that. That's for sure.
Gonna have the Spaldings.
Yeah, but definitely, going back to what you said.
All the Rollins.
You're right. There you go. But you're right. Lonzo, I think there was so much hype behind him coming into the NBA that I don't think it was really thought through. Like, yeah, you want to go, you want to go number 1, you want to go number 2, but look at who you're going to, and you're going to a team that's stacked. You're not going to be the big name there, in the way that you should be. You should have the opportunity to be. And with Melo, him going to the Hornets, he kind of had that opportunity. Who was watching Hornets games last year? I know I wasn't. I'm gonna be quite honest with you.
I did because I have a really hard time with getting out of nostalgia, and I want anything to do with anything Michael Jordan. So
yeah. Well, see, there you go. Stuff like that, But I can say quite honestly, like LaMelo drew me there. I was following the Ball brothers wherever they went, So I'm a bandwagon fan that way. But that's kind of how it was. So I'm really wishing them the best. I'm hoping that both of them, Melo's coming back from the injury, Lonzo's kind of getting back into his groove. Russell Westbrook is doing his thing, So we're wishing luck to all three of them. We're gonna move really quickly here to our last topic, which is kind of I don't want to say it's sensitive, but it's something that I think a lot of people have shied away from. It's not something that I made it clear to you guys. I'm not shying away from it. I think it's something that needs to be talked about, and activism within the NBA and within the WNBA. Players that are really kind of speaking up, taking a stand for what they believe in on and off the court. I think that just talking about in general, we know that we'll be talking about, shut up and dribble and kind of what happened with LeBron James. But kind of going back to the shut up and dribble mentality that's really been around. It's not new. The shut up and dribble mentality is not new. It's been around for a very long time. And it doesn't just affect NBA players. It affects people at the college level, us at a high school level. I know at a high school level, we were kind of told like, hey, you're here, but you're playing basketball, you're going to class, but kind of those extracurricular activities, getting involved in like the Black Student Union and stuff like that. Those were kind of frowned upon, right? It's like, hey, don't do too much, just kind of play ball. That's kind of what we want you to do. And so we're gonna take that topic head on. I know me and CJ have had conversations about it before, where clearly both African Americans living in this world here, and so we kind of have a different take on a lot of views and a lot of things, or we relate to these players differently than a lot of other people do. So I'm going to open it up. I'll say my one piece that, I appreciate us getting together to have this conversation, and that, we're not here to offend anybody. We're all friendly. So we're here to talk about activism in the NBA. Do we love to see it? I personally do. I think that they're all still humans. They're all still people outside of playing basketball. They grew up. Some of them grew up underprivileged and in not the best situations, and some of them are. Some of them are players or of kids of coaches in the NBA. So they had it all growing up, and they still have it all. But for players like LeBron, who came from nothing, and kind of put his family on, and now his sons have the opportunity really to have it all, but still kind of be grounded, and they know where they came from. I appreciate having somebody, and really tons of people, tons of players in this organization who are willing to say, hey, this is happening. We're seeing it. And because we have this platform, we want to speak up about it.
Yeah. Here was kind of my whole, it's again, not totally NBA. Colin Kaepernick for me was the first player since, and I feel horrible. The two gentlemen in the Olympics that were held in, I believe it was in Mexico City in the late 60s or 70s, The fact that Colin went against the grain and knelt against, not the flag, it was against the oppression that is occurring underneath the flag. The flag is the facade that people get lost on. I understand where people come from when it's the whole veterans thing. I get that. But you have to understand that nothing's ever done in a fair way when it comes to equality. It never has been. And to be able to watch Colin and a fan of the 49ers, I attended a 49ers Chicago Bear game. Colin was there. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I celebrated in the moment to be able to be in the protest with one of my favorite individuals to do that. I went right along with him. I did not stand for the flag. I didn't stand for and for the reasons that Colin did it for. Trust me, as a white male, I still received all the guff in the world as why I was being disrespectful to a flag. I said, don't talk to me about your privilege of not understanding what he's trying to bring to light.
Right.
I get it because this stuff has happened towards my family. Get pulled all over all the time when we drive around in my wife's car. She's Hispanic last name. Trust me, we got pulled all over all the time. She marries me, takes my last name. We haven't been pulled over since. You can't tell me that there's not an ability to be judged because of who you are on the outside. We were getting judged because of a last name. I'm proud of these individuals. They are tax-paying citizens. They have the same exact rights that everyone else does. Just because they play a sport and we idolize them and put them on pedestals doesn't mean that they are devalued in any manner. I'm proud to see athletes take a stand and be the voice for the voiceless. Let's be honest, people need to have people who have a voice, who have a platform to be able to spread the idea of equality. And I absolutely support it. I will support it till the day I die, and I hope that they continue at a high school, at a college, and at an NBA level. I mean, what was it, Oklahoma, I believe it was 4 months ago? You have the idiot announcers not muting their mic, and because the high school team took a kneel, they felt it was necessary to blurt out racial slurs. These are kids. Like, I mean, how big do you feel that you are talking to a child that way? And that's just kind of my approach to it.
Activism in the NBA has been very, very strong. Activism in all these major league sports has been strong because these players are finally learning to step up and step out and speak up when things aren't right. And you should want to look up to an NBA player, an NFL player, MLS player, MLB player, NHL player who stands up for oppression, who stands up against oppression, because um me playing football in high school and having to play against a high school in Cumberland, Maryland, Cumberland High School. That was one of the first times where I had experienced racism in full effect. It was bad, it was bad. Play was going on, and I was called the N word. And when I heard it, I didn't react because I was like, let me not react. But then it kept doing it. Then it was a lot more racial slurs, and it got aggressive. It really got aggressive. There was flags thrown because of our reaction towards, with aggression. And we had to forfeit the game because we just didn't care anymore. It was bad, and we told the coach, and the coach heard it himself. And the coach said, we're gonna stop this game, and we're just gonna go home. And that was the first time where I had to experience myself. And looking at it now, to today, is I wish that somebody told us to take that knee. Take that knee, speak up. Be together, And just seeing LeBron be in the forefront of this and him being criticized so badly for it, it's like, hey, guess what? I don't care. You know, police brutality, social injustice, it's wrong. You know, we live in America. We live in America. We live in America to be free. We live in America to be able to stand up for our rights without criticism and judgment. And you would think that after all these years, you know, people would learn, but no, it's still here, and it's still a major problem in our community. So, you know, I do definitely, you know, want to thank the NBA for being so headstrong on, you know, allowing these players to put the messages on their jersey, because your jersey is the first thing that people identify. So, you know, this is why I respect it. You know, the messages that you see on their jerseys, you know, every day when they play, you know, you see them kneeling down, you know, with the social injustice shirts, the oppression shirts and things like that. So, you know, I'm all for it. You know, I definitely think that they should keep doing this. You know, the fight has just started. So,
Yeah, I think they're who better than to, who better than people who we look up to, people our kids are idolizing, and you know I don't, kids don't always listen to their parents. I think if I mean, I have a different situation, right? My mom probably, I mean, granted, she could teach me a million things, but we don't have the same skin color. So my mom, a lot of lessons that I have as an African American woman, my mom can't tell me, she can't tell me how it feels to be that way, or how she's, me going in a grocery store versus her going in a grocery store, or her getting pulled over versus me getting pulled over. And there's just a lot of differences that we kind of have in that resort. But kids don't always listen to their parents. And even if my mom probably would have told me back then, I don't know if I would have been as receptive. But as a parent now and as a wife, right, I have an African American husband who, and CJ, we live in DC, Baltimore area. We don't
mhm.
expect things like this, but to kind of see my husband is tall, 6'5", 360. That's a big guy. And so for him to get pulled over, and they're automatically calling for backup. It's just like, well, what do you like? Hey, me by myself. I'm always kind of just the person. I don't cause conflict. We can have a conversation, and I think I talk to everybody in kind of the same tone that I'm talking to you guys. It's not forceful. It's not soft toned, but it's just kind of me. It's kind of always have communicated, and people kind of take that in a hostile way. So like I said, we live in these bodies every day, and although they're athletes, they still live in their bodies every day. We've seen instances of NBA players, NFL players just riding around, in their free time, and they get stopped, they get harassed, and in those lights, they're like, hey, once they reveal who they are, police are like, oh, let me back up. And sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're still like, I don't actually care who you are. This is how this is going to go, and you can deal with it after the fact. And I think that's one of the big things with Colin Kaepernick is starting this kind of conversation to bring this to the forefront. It's unfortunate that his career ended up going in the way that it did, because he was so willing to take a stand, and he, quite frankly, at the end of the day, didn't care, because he wanted to see change, right? If all of my works, everything that I'm working for gets me kicked out of the NFL, okay, whether they're going to say he's kicked out or not, they're just like, well, he's not kicked out. He can play, but who's going to pick him up? And I don't think the NBA can, right? The NBA doesn't necessarily have that narrative right now with LeBron. Like, there's tons of people. We saw the statement from Donald Trump, in his, kind of shut up and dribble response. But
we
at
can't
the end
say
of the
his. Let's not say his name.
yeah, it's unfortunate. I think that we were at a place in America, and I can say this just for like younger people, right? I think that previous election with that president, I think a lot of people took those elections as a joke. You see somebody fresh on the ballot, and you're like, you know what? He's not a career politician, and he might not be so bad. But when you really think about the views that people have, right? A lot of people just go, oh, well, I supported his view on this, and so this is why I voted for him. It's like, his one view on one thing is not always, gonna relate to his views on other things. And so we're in a place right now where everybody's saying, like, we're rebuilding. We're kind of getting back to a place where we can kind of have these conversations and have them comfortably. But I'm proud of LeBron. I'm proud of every single player that wears somebody's name on the back of their jersey. We were in a really tough place watching this George Floyd trial. Everybody was kind of on edge. I know that I was on edge. I was working the day that the verdict was going to come out, and they announced it on TV, and I physically felt sick. I told my boss, I was like, listen, I will work until this verdict is read, but if it does not go in the way that I need it to go, I guarantee you I'm going to puke in this house, and then I'm not going to be able to work. And so it hurts me to kind of live in a country like that, where I feel like I don't have trust in my police. I don't want to. I live across the street from a police. I don't want to call them. I don't want them over here. Don't look at my yard. I see them every day. I'm like, don't
I
come
bet
over
it still
here.
takes 15 minutes for them to actually respond to
Yeah,
your call.
Across the street.
And you live right across the street.
I'm like, I don't want y'all to come over here. I don't want them to have an interaction with my husband. I don't want them to have an interaction with my son.
No, and you really don't. You really don't. And I mean, I can't speak from knowing from because of what my pigmentation of my skin is, but I grew up in a family that we were hippies. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, my dad had long hair. He was a big guy. My mom, big lady. Like, we were hippies. Free living, have fun. We were always judged a little differently. I remember I remember our door being kicked in by a SWAT team. So I mean, I've had negative interactions with them, not ever because of the way that I look, probably because of the way I've reacted.
Yeah.
But again, that's my privilege that I've been granted by an unknown source or an unknown being, that I'm unaware of. But back to your point, where cops pull over stars and then back off, that's that privilege. Like,
right.
They're like, oh, this is this guy, we'll let him go. No way he could be doing something wrong. Why is it that we're so fast to let someone go because of their status, but we never question people who are in status? Like, I don't even want to say his name. 45. We'll leave it at that. I can't stand him. And this is another conversation for another time, but why is it that it was allowed for this gentleman to act like he did and there's no consequences? But let's be honest, if the president before him, who actually was a president and someone we could actually look up to in Barack Obama, if he would have done these things, we're looking at a totally different situation. Totally different
response.
100%. I think you would have seen Congress act in a manner that they know how to, and that's prejudice and oppression. Let's be honest, that's all they know. And I feel like the biggest issue in this country, and I tell everybody this example for this reason, we have lack of education. We have to educate on the past to move forward. Without the ability of these athletes to stand up and educate the people who do not have the access to this information purely because of income-based inequality, we need these guys. We need them. We need their opinions.
And you know what? I agree with you on that 100%. And I will say this: I didn't go to kind of a low down trifling school. Like, we had great resources. I think I grew up in a really good school district. But there are so many things that I realized that I did not know until I got to my junior, senior year of high school. And we this Jewish lady, I loved her to death. She was my teacher. She was like, hey, you're taking an African American history class. And on the first day, I'm like, what are you going to teach me about African American history? Like, I'm like, what's going on here? But she's like, listen, I'm a little Jewish lady, and I promise you I'm about to blow your mind. And there was so much stuff that she told us, and she was not scared. And she was like, you're going to feel feelings that are, we're going to use big feelings, right? You're going to feel so many feelings that this is going to be a place where you're, in your junior, senior year of school, you're going to go off to college, and I want you to have these things. I want you to know these things. And so there are so many things that I think everybody needs to know and that we kind of overlook. And, you can show roots all you want to. That's the big thing in middle school, is everybody looks for the roots unit up here. I don't know what it's like out there, but we live for roots. I'm like, I get to sit back and watch movies for how long? I'm like, sign me up for that. I want that. But roots is not even touching the surface of the actual issues and things that people experienced back then. Right. And then things that we're dealing with now. There's just so many things in it. It's kind of hard to decipher, like, hey, what do you want to tell kids? What don't you want to tell kids? But this is also where I'm just going to plug this. This has absolutely nothing to do with anything, but I plug HBCUs for African-American kids. And then for people that are not of color, that really want an experience, that want to go somewhere and really see African-American kids thrive and want to be in school and succeed. Morgan State for me was eye-opening in itself. There were so many things that I could not learn, from my family, and that's no fault of their own. My mother did the best that she could. My grandmother did the best that she could. My dad did the best that he could. There are so many things that I have experienced since just being out in the world that I'm so appreciative to Morgan State for. But I think we're going to end it here. We've talked about a whole bunch, and luckily for us, we get to do this every week. And this is not the only time that we'll touch on activism in the NBA. I'm sure that we'll probably plug in some WNBA news next week. But I want to thank you both so much, for having this conversation with me. The Blacktop. This was our first episode, so I'm super excited. I hope that everybody who is watching loved this episode. Looks like we had somebody's kid drop in here and say, "Hey."
Oh no! That's a weird man child that
this
that
is
we
an
know.
adult.
Yeah, he's like 22.
Oh well.
Thank you, CJ. Thank you, CJ.
I'm like, this is somebody's kid who's got Facebook. That's cute. But welcome, Jacob. Anyway, I don't actually know who you are, but hey. So we appreciate you guys, and I hope that you all have a great night. Again, you were watching the Blacktop with Timaira. I had my great friends CJ and Jake with me, and we wish you a great. Yeah, now I see that's not a child. All right, great.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk to that producer.
Yeah. Talk to the producer about that one. Who's that?
Yeah, I love it. Thank you, Jonah.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a great rest of your night.
Take care.